is iRacing. As the temperatures start to drop in the Northern Hemisphere, the action heats up. 1 point difference in the GTOs, and the GTP Championship is the closest we have had for seasons. So it's only fair to bring the IMSA Vintage to the Vintage Virginia International Raceway for round 9 here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Now, hello, everybody. I am Craig King, and joining me in the booth, look at the handsome devil of DJ Clark. Joining us in the director's chair is Daniel Costello, using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. A track that has held the SCCA National Championships for a few years, but no longer, but a free track to iRacing. It is a track that is very familiar to most drivers on the service. To find out more, we go to our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Virginia International Raceway. Only a short trip away from the state's border with North Carolina, this track has had the rare blessing of being resurrected from the dead. After closing for a quarter century, once it was rebuilt, it quickly began to draw major sports car series to its halls. The new owners didn't skimp on refurbishing the place either. An impressive 5 versions are available on iRacing, with a range between 1 and 4 miles in length between them. With that much pavement, the plethora of corners have earned some colorful nicknames. The horseshoe kicks things off right away with a never-ending double apexer that tends to suck the greedy out into its runoff. Later on, the climbing S's force you to thread the needle before spinning you out into the steep drop at South Bend. Then, of course, there's Oak Tree, which sadly no longer sees its namesake landmark on the inside of the turn, but still retains its frustrating difficulty. Let's not forget one of the scariest obstacles at the end of the lap, the roller coaster. The incredible speed drivers carry up into this blind braking zone is what causes it to require such immense bravery to get the most out of the lap. While passing can be tricky here, the long backstretch nicknamed Madison Avenue and the lengthy front stretch do tend to offer enough of a draft that you can still give a go at a pass. Still, track position is usually an important factor in most races. With the picturesque backdrop of the Appalachians around them, fans are not left wanting when they come to watch drivers face off at this historic track. It's no wonder the circuit has found success in its second chance at life.
Well, that old building in the pits there, it's what we're used to. DJ, you know this track very well, and it's not the real one here today, it's the digital track for you.
Yeah, but it still maintains the exact same tenacity that you have to attack it with, from horseshoe all the way down to hog pen. This is the definition of a driver's track. There's not a lot of overtaking opportunity here. Maybe into horseshoe, maybe into roller coaster are going to be your 2 best opportunities. Outside of that, there's a lot of follow the leader, and there's a lot of commitment. The snake up through the rising S's, that is going to be a flat-out section for these drivers. The drop into South Bend and into Oak Tree will set up a rhythm section, as it were, to feel out the car, and then it is really trusting the aerodynamics on these vintage machines down through 16 and 17. This is a tricky track. It's going to test drivers out, and watch out for a lot of drivers ending up in the grass as they get these margins wrong. It's not uncommon in the real world, or certainly here in the sim.
Yeah, it's one of these tracks that they don't do multi-class racing nowadays, except for the IMSA Pilot Series. But for the main IMSA, they don't come here very much nowadays when it comes to multi-class, just because it's just a little bit too small in terms of the pit lane. But back in the day when these cars drove around, they did have these cars, and they did have the multi-class, and it's going to be interesting. You throw that in because a lot of drivers, they look at the single car aspect of this track, and you see a lot in the modern day IMSA where it's just GTD, but here the time differences, the deltas, it's almost 13-14 seconds around here when it comes to the delta. Should be interesting in the middle of nowhere. But as I was saying, DJ, again, this is the free track now for the iRacers, so it's very interesting that the drivers get to do this. But let's look at those points, because we were talking about it was very close out there. And even though Valenteas had a drop round where he didn't turn up 2 weeks ago, the gap is just 18 points between him and Jacob Reed. in this fantastic battle. Alessa Jack will be in third with Gabriel Martinez fourth. Jack Wells and Henning Swebe get a close battle there for fifth with Brendan Lim. David Ricciardi, who really doing well in the top 10 of the main GTPs, usually a light driver as well. Fabian Youngblood just there. Pepe Fuentes, not a name you usually see in the GTPs, but he's rounding out the top 10. But DJ, I talked about it to start the broadcast. The GTOs, it is very close.
Yeah, this is where we're really going to be keeping our eyes on this battle. Joram there only a single point over Neil Lundberg, and that is going to be the battle to watch. Joni Hagner, a little bit in his own. Mickey Fries and Doug Cloud, they're in a nice little battle with Josh Brain. Maybe he'll be able to sneak up the inside there to try to take that away from fourth. So we'll keep an eye on that battle as well. Ian Haycox, Andreas Schuster, working our way down through 7th and 8th at Costello. And then Martin Krejcik there rounding out your top 10. A good run of these drivers. And we're working our way towards the end of the season here in the middle of the season, so this could really end up in anybody's race, but we've got to obviously be talking about a single point separating the top two.
I think at round 9 we can start calling it moving day, like they say in the golf. But let's break down the stats. As we were saying, it's close to the end of the season because it's round 9 and it's the 40-minute race as per usual. Just one more sprint race left to go. The open setup, and remember, the community make their own setups for people to use, or bring your own setup. But remember, if you crash it, you're done for the day. There is no spare car. Drive-through will be at 17 incident points, and it will be a disqualification at 25 on a track like this, a narrow track side by side. Lots of tough corners here. You do look for that later in the race, because I think some drivers may, DJ, they may be flirting with that, because especially when you look at turn 3 at NASCAR, there's the chances for some drivers want to making moves and they just can't make them pay off.
Yeah, there's going to be the little bit of that side-by-side. NASCAR bend left hook. It invites those opportunities to dive down to the inside. It really and truly does. And also the same is kind of true at this point on the track. This is Oak Tree, 11 and 12, or we should say now son of Oak Tree, as Oak Tree unfortunately lost in a storm a couple of years ago. But this Madison Avenue down the back straightaway here, this is where I think you're going to see the majority of these passes take place. This is where a lot of these GTP drivers are going to have to wait for that opportunity. Up to this point, it's not going to be there.
No, they're going to have to wait. Maybe try to get a little bit tight through the start of the snake, but can't really see that as Jacob Reed has the pole position, and he is coming around to set his final lap. And it's a long straight here to the start. Remember, the start-finish line at the end. He will improve his time to a 29.353. A very quick time. And in fact, not the fastest he's done this week. It's going to be all eyes on what the number 2 does, which is Valenteus. But in the GTOs, well, those battles are still going on. But Noah Lundberg is the current pole sitter at the moment with a nice gap. Valenteus, by the way, his first lap time, 3,000 slower than Jacob Reed as Noah Lundberg. He comes down Madison Avenue, and you see the speed differences from the GTOs to the GTPs.
Yeah, and that is where it's really going to be on display, the high-speed sections of the track. And as I said before, you're going to see that high speed on the front end of the track as well, coming up through Snake and into the Rising S's, but down the back straightaways where you're going to see the passes. This is that car control section for Lundberg, really having to just feel it out. And there, stepping over the limit, he is going to be able to get over the line. I don't think that's going to be off track, but let's see as Lundberg crosses over.
Won't be an off track, but it's not going to be faster than Cal Young, who sets a lap time that's good enough for fastest so far. And that's still a little surprise out there in the field, as you've got Cal Young just putting a spanner in the works in that championship battle. He's not in it. However, he will still decide that, well, he's out here to race and he's here to have some fun. Valenteus, well, you're going to say, how do you find 4,000th of a second? But you have to find it here. A little bit of a twitch there, just braking for 14, going into the roller coaster, and down he goes full speed. Look at the elevation changes. Run the curve as much as you can. A little tap of the brakes there at the hog pen at 17 and 17A. Just dicing with the grass, but it should be okay. I wonder, it's looking very good here. He only needs to find the barest of margins. He's going to come across the line. He finds it, and he went from 3,000 slower to 100 faster.
Brilliant stuff there, and as you said, that little bit of a twitch, sending him out a little bit, just enough to catch it around. Here comes the number 10 working their way down through that same section of track, or excuse me, this is coming back down through South Bend. Now bringing it into Oak Tree, a deceptive corner here. You want to carry as much speed in as possible. That little bit of runoff added a couple of years ago really lets you open up that corner a little bit more, and Ika now really pushing as hard as he can, just letting the car breathe. This is the first time on the track you're able to just take a breath and let yourself relax before you line up for a roller coaster.
Now we go see what he does. Just a little tap of the grass there, but it's okay for him. And yeah, that runoff at Oak Tree, I remember doing races here on the old scan where the tree was still here. There was no runoff. You could not take the speed you wanted to. And speaking of speed, Costasalo's taken a bit too much speed there. You could see he's just had to back it all the way up. And I think that's the reason why he's just called it a day with the times. So we've got 30 GTPs, we've got 25 GTOs. Let's go into those grids because the GTPs will be first. As we were saying, it's Valenteus. Pole position from Jacob Reed by 0.012. Ferenc Grau will get that P3 with Gabri Martinez in fourth. Lars Olsen will be fifth and Jack Wells will take sixth. And David Ricciardi with a very strong seventh. Anders Sandberg will take eighth. Brendan Lim ninth and Fabian Jungblad will round out the first page, leading to Emilio De Ciari in 11th with Matthew Cockerham in 12th. Eki Anderson will be 13th and Andre Felipe Diaz 14th. Gianluca Gabbiani returns in 15th with Ignacio Teresio in 16th. Ryan Minsloff will be 17th and Hernie Coseda in 18th. Then it's Lance Simon in 19th. Mitchell Stewart will be in 20th. And for the final page, Brian Whirling will be that 21st with Jacob Flory in 22nd. Noah Warren, the last at a time, qualifies in 23rd, the number 50 there. Then 24th for William Zareddin. Ethan Darby, 25th. Leonardo Silva in 26th. Fausto Logridis in 27th. Yoda Vasquez in 28th. James McKnight in 29th. Tyler Borsoff rounds out your 30 GTP field in 30th. And those GTOs, DJ, they're looking pretty good.
They're looking pretty good as well. It's going to be a fierce battle in these Audis farther back in the field. As you say, Cal Young, a little bit of a surprise there to be able to pip that away, but he is going to take pole position over Noel Lernberg. Then it's Joni Hagner and Joram Van Hicks lining up, in row number 2. Andreas Slimba will be in P5, and then Becker will be in them in P6. Mickey Friesen and Timothy Reed in row 4. Havdal and Cloud will make up your top 10. Not a whole lot separating these drivers, so you're going to see some close battles here. Ian Haycox, Josh Brain in row 6. Juvenin will be in P13, followed by Brendan White. Then it's Martin Kredrick in 15th and Ika Cosalo in 16th. Pollock will be 17th, followed by Victor Saul, Richard Hinman, and Osvaldo Sousa will round out your top 20 in that GTO category. Very, very full field here. Daniel Althouse, the last driver to put down a time. Then it's Jack David Spickett, Ghislaine, and then Dominic Ria and Tony Glukov will round out your 25-car field. That's right, we've got a full 55 entries here in the field today. That means there's going to be a lot of traffic for these GTPs to contend with. It's going to be a lot of looking in the rearview mirrors for the GTOs. This is going to be tight.
This is going to be tight. And in the words of Adam Lindgren, this is classic IMSA Vintage. Sometimes the drivers don't want to see a full single split. Remember, it splits at 55. So there are people just on the tenterhooks, they're thinking, they're going to get 56, then it would be two small fields. And sometimes small is better, but when you've got a track of this proportion, you want it to be a little bit bigger out there just to give yourself more opportunity. And the traffic will give and the traffic will take. Let's give you a quick rundown of the weather as well, because the weather's interesting today. It's a 25 Celsius track temp. That's 77 Fahrenheit. And the interesting thing, the wind, you're looking about 10, 15 miles an hour southerly. And for those that just need to have an idea of where north is on the track, well, basically going up Madison Avenue, you're heading north. So that long back straight, they're going to have quite a nice tailwind. But going up the Snake, they're going to have to deal with the wind coming straight at them when they're going left and right up that Essex section.
And that could be a little bit helpful. Just create a little bit more downforce on the front of the car, the air flowing over it. I think down Madison Avenue, you're going to see some pronounced speeds. That's not going to lend to more overtaking, though, and that could change things up a little bit.
Yeah, and of course, the problem is how much downforce have the cars got, because when the GTPs, when they start to pull out of slipstream, they start to lose all that speed if they're really maxed out and really cut down on that wing. So that would be one to pay attention to, but just look at it. Just to give you an idea, if you don't know how hard it is to go side by side up the S's, and it can be done, just look how tight it is for these cars, just on a formational lap. And these are one of the hardest cars to drive. I say one of them, not the hardest car to drive on the sim, just due to the hill towing. You see that even then, just trying to go up the Snake, very tight, and then the Madison Avenue, and it does kind of open up a bit here, DJ, still quite tight.
It really does. And what's interesting about coming down Madison Avenue is, you're right, it does open up coming off of Oak Tree. It gives you a little bit more of an idea of the ability to pass, but then it narrows down again. When you get into Roller Coaster, it bunches up, and it really gets difficult to go side by side through that 14, 15, 16 complex. So if you're going to get a pass done, it's almost like you kind of have to commit to it and get it done before you get into the braking zone for Roller Coaster. Like I said, this is a driver's track. It's fantastic to hot lap, but it takes a lot of skill and a lot of patience to race here.
Is going to see who is the driver of the drivers today. The king of kings out there today, or the queens if you're Josephine Becker and other female drivers out there. The pace car will dart off very shortly, and Valenteus will hold the field. And he likes to just play it by ear here. Jacob Reed has the pedigree to try and match him, but it's so tough to match the car in front. The number one P1, the number two P2. 40 minutes here at VIR as we get ready, and he does just bunch them a little bit and catches them napping. Reed's going to have to just dart in behind, so the first battle we'll have to look at, unless Reed goes for a late move, is always going to be tough around turn one at the horseshoe. Won't get it behind. Baron Grau just holds off Gabriel Martinez. It's very quiet at the moment in the GTP. They'll come round to turn two. Martinez will respond. GTO's just about to get through on the start line.
And this is going to be led by Young. There you can see already spread out in a single file order. Hagner not able to really get the jump on him. A little bit of a battle going on for Salumba and Lundberg back in P3 and 4. Lundberg a little farther back in the order. There they try to be able to hold themselves out. Too wide. Kicked out to the outside is the number 4 of Lundberg. He is falling down positions fast.
Yeah, not the best start there for Lundberg, and this is the track that really suits him, just with that pack mentality. So this is what he would love to see, but he's not seeing it. A couple of drivers having a moment. Mauricio already off the field. Mislov not taking the start. And Gabriel Martinez at the front. He's had a nightmare of a start at the moment as we're keeping our eyes. Baron Grau there as well. You see the GTPs. They're now on to Madison Avenue. More battles going on as well. Mickey Friesen trying his best. Yet past Josephine Becker. Really needs to get that done to be able to catch up to the rest of the field.
Yeah, and you do not want to get caught behind a slower car here, particularly on this first half of the track. It can really, really catch you out. A good heads up here for Friesen to be able to get ahead of Josephine. Now going to be able to try to pull ahead and hope that the likes of Lundberg and Van Hicks are going to get into a little bit of a battle and bring them in. But it looks like right now Lundberg losing a little bit of touch on Van Hicks. It could be a little bit of a run. Oh, and there we go. Gabbiani off on the grass on the outside of Hogpen.
Yeah, looks like Gabbiani just went a bit too hot, and yeah, just running the curve too much there as he came to Hogpen, just sliding the car out a little bit, losing just that grip and also then the speed. Couldn't really get it under control. Reed, Valenteus, they've already put a second and a half to them and the rest of the field, and this is kind of the nature that these two have been doing. We have to call Valenteus an alien of vintage racing. Jacob Reed starting to get there as Gabriel Martinez has not had the best to start. Started 4th, all the way down to 6th. Jack Wells and Lars Olsen managed to get ahead of him, and now it's just really just a case of getting back up, and probably a bit too fast entering the Oak Tree corner there.
Yeah, you can see just lost a little bit of that opportunity. I was thinking there for a second, Gabri may have had a little bit of a run on the back here of Olsen and may get a little bit of the slipstream here, but I think they're going to run into the problem coming down into this corner. Defended well. He's going to look to the inside. Martinez surprising me there and being able to send it, and heads up there for Olsen as well. recognizing that opportunity, not fighting it too much. If you see a driver coming up the inside there and you really try to fight it, that's a one-way ticket to disaster. I think Olsen recognized that, may have recognized that Gabri had some more speed, and just held off and hold on to the coattails.
Yeah, and also you've got to think to yourself that just holding a station now, just at the start here, make up the positions when mistakes happen when we get to the traffic, and give you an idea of how the traffic is right now. Well, the lead GTPs are just hitting NASCAR. The lead GTOs are just coming to the roller coaster. In fact, here's Gabbiani not having the best first lap out there, now trying to get past Brian Whirling and coming on by. Fastest position, most positions gained so far. Redding up 7 positions as well. Jack David Spickett in the GTOs up 7 positions as well. Granted, did not set a qualifying lap. Still doing well, but for Gabbiani, it is all about trying to get by. But here is Mateus Hadbau. Mateus, and this is what we expect to see, DJ. Not a lot of overtaking early doors of the GTOs. They're waiting for that opportunity.
Yeah, wait for those GTPs to come back through, see if you can maybe use them as a little bit of a pick, have them force the driver in front of you into an inopportune position. And there we see some of them coming through right now. I think this is the opportunity here that they're going to be waiting for. We check back up at the front of the field. This gap's grown a little bit here between Reed and Valiensis. It's up to about 0.3 of a second. I think Valiensis is maybe trying to press the advantage here a little bit more. He's going to be able to pick and choose his opportunities being the leader of this field, but by the same token, when you get up to those GTOs, you are going to find yourself in a world of trouble, and it is not out of the realm of possibility. You find yourself stuck behind them for 3-4 corners, and that could open up the door for Reed.
It could indeed, and we'll just pay attention. I reckon a lap and a half, they'll start to hit the back markers. You see on the timing tower, Martinez did get past Jack Wells. Kind of a picture, mirror image there of what happened between him and Olsen, as he just decided it's better to just play it safe. Eki Anderson losing or trying to beat and trying to get around Felipe Diaz here, but well, turn one, it's kind of a bit like Lime Rock Park here, with just a little bit more of a curvature to it. It's so tough to try and do anything around the outside there, and for Eki, did not pay off for him.
Yeah, the track actually crowns a little bit in the middle of it, and it breaks away on the outside. So you really have to have a car that's set up well to handle that negative camber. It's very, very tricky. You hear a lot of drivers talk about the difficulty of trying to make it move. You're more likely to, frankly, be able to send a sneak attack up into turn 3 at NASCAR Bend than be able to get a move done at Horseshoe.
Brendan Lim trying to get the best move here, trying to get a good run out of the oak tree, and does get it on Sandberg, but unfortunately just too far away. We've had a few retirees already. Josephine Becker had a hardware issue or a PC issue there and had to retire. Tom also as well. Casadas into the pits, and McKnight also there as well. Daniel Althaus as well, another driver. So it's already claimed a few cars at the start here. Gabriel Martinez looking like he wants to be more racy. It feels like he's got a lot less downforce here because he's really catching up there, but he just can't make that move. And now there's a back marker. Here comes that multi-class aspect, and this is the worst place to meet them.
Exactly. This is where, if you are Grau, you do not want to see this taking place in front of you. Let's see if that GTO maybe gets out of the way here a little bit. Good call there for them, just trying to stay to the outside. But there you see the catch back a little bit. It threw off Wells behind them and created a big gap farther up in the field. Here's exactly what I was talking about for Jacob Reed. He is all over the back of Valteas right now. Battle on.
Yeah, really close. And I tell you what, they got lucky going up the S's that they found that gap in the traffic. And look how close that Reed is. We talk about it every week, that overtaking the multi-class pedigree that Valteas has got. So much commitment and bravery, but trusting to make those moves. And then Reed, he just finds the opportunity. They are two different sides of multi-class racing, but they are both just so good here. But they have to slow down right now. And here, start counting the seconds. They have a 4-second lead to Grau and Martinez. It's going to start to shrink, or is it? Because even they're getting held up right now. Everybody's getting held up here. Martinez, a little bit of a slide.
Just too much speed carried through that turn 14, and that is such a shame. I think that's a classic issue with seeing a little bit of red mist. Here comes Reed for the lead of the race. He's got the move done.
got the move, and it was actually a lapped car coming through the hog pen and could not do anything. They're going to try and fight this side by side. Valenteius, I said you can't go around the outside on turn 1, and he's done it. They've still got the overlap. Brilliant move here from Valenteius, and he's going to turn now into turn 3, trying to get it done in NASCAR, but around the outside for Reed. Can't get it done as he goes for the left hook, and that was definitely a left hook from Valenteius, but Reed just bounced off the ropes and held on to it.
Absolute brilliant respect from both drivers, from Reed and Valenteius, and almost a little bit of a look there for Valenteius coming up through the S's. That is not normally an area you see the overtake. But again, going back to those moves, such brilliant respect there. You saw Valenteius try to force Reed out to the outside a little bit coming out of NASCAR bend. Was able to hold into it, taking that wider line courtesy of traffic for Valenteius. I think that slowed him down a little bit, but they are in the thick of the battle right now.
You know what? Josh Brain's going to be the next car there, that red and yellow car. It's too far away. I thought Reed would be able to get a look there, but he wasn't able to. Valenteius is getting a look, and in fact, Reed almost picked himself there for a moment. And Valenteius, you know, go around the outside of the roller coaster, and it just proved too much for him there. I think the grip was just going there. He's going to see if he can get a run hit. This is how he lost the lead last time by. He just couldn't get on the throttle. It's not a case of finding the traffic at the wrong time here, DJ. It's just taking the traffic the wrong way.
Splitting the difference there, and exactly, it's picking your moment. Now look at this, a little bit of a battle ahead. Big move for Valenteius coming up to the inside. He'll have that preferred line. They're going to try to split the difference, but Valenteius gets picked there a little bit, and that's going to give an opportunity to Reed. He's going to send a big move down to the inside. One GTO off into the background as they still continue this fight, working their way through lap traffic.
It's Doug Cloud that actually got caught out there, and I think Doug may have just lost his sight there. These guys are punching a hole through the field, and then Valenteius is following that punch hole. It's almost like the banners that you see the cheerleaders and the football teams come out at the start of a college football game. It just feels like that. The hole with punch from Reed. Valenteius follows on through, but just look at where they're meeting the traffic, and look at how they're making adjustments. A normal driver, when they come to Mickey Friesen, now hang on 1 second, Valenteius, the door's been left open. He can make a pick move here for a moment. This is going to be good. They're side by side. They're going to go down Madison Avenue. They're going to split the difference. They're going to hack it in it, but the cars go back to the line. Valenteius is still going to be there. Reed just opens the door for it. He says, thank you very much, sir. Have some. He's going to go to the inside. He gets past Van Hick, and he takes down Johnny Hagner, and it's a big wreck for the GTPs.
Just touched the grass on the inside of the curb there, and Valenteius in ruining that moment. That is exactly what can happen here. Damage to the front of that number 1. It looks like he's going to be able to carry on here, doing the respectful thing, staying out of the way. We'll keep an eye here on this number 1. It doesn't look great, though, and it looks like he may have a little bit more terminal damage.
A lot of damage on the wing. I wonder if he's going to try and keep on going, but he couldn't even get into the pits. But what a rare, and that, when we say a rare move, we mean it. That's a rare mistake from Valenteius. He's going to try and battle the rest of the cars here, but what downforce has he lost there? But Keefing as well, he affected the lead GTO battle. We don't usually see that, and there is Mickey Friesen. Friesen having issues as well, and there was that traffic as well. Did he get caught out there? He just lost it on his own.
And that's not unheard of. I can't tell you how many times I've seen drivers go wide, just get those margins a little bit wrong coming through NASCAR bend and left hook. This is Johnny Hagner. This is up in 5th place in that GTO field right now. And there you see, I mean, that's a perfect example. What we saw from Joni, just a little bit of towing on into the grass. No matter what series you're running, no matter what cars you're running here at VIR, that's the fastest way around the track. You just have to watch those margins. We're going to take a look at the replay. Craig, this is insane down into roller coaster.
Do you know what? I know what he was going to do. There you can see the grass. I know what he was trying to do. I think it was a bit too ambitious there. If there was a gap between the two cars, then yes. But hitting that grass, it's just starting to tighten up a bit too much. And like I said, that is a rare mistake, and it just goes to show that this is the nature of the series right now. Valenteius hasn't really been tested like this. He's been tested the odd few races, but a whole season against Jacob Reed, and look at it right now. He did get past Matthew Cockerham, but how much damage is on that car? Just see if Matthew can catch up to him. If there's a lot of terminal damage, that's affecting the downforce here. You might see Valenteus just call it a day, but this has surprised me a little bit here, DJ. Not a lot of top speed loss there for Valenteus.
Not a lot of top speed loss. I'm not sure what that says necessarily about his downforce package that he's running, but at the same time, I think if you're Valenteus, you have to keep going. You're in this championship fight. You have got to keep pushing as much as possible. So I understand the reasoning there for him. And going back to that incident for Valenteus, I think if he had slowed down maybe a mile an hour slower, he could have pulled that move off. To your point, Craig, it was just the slightest bit of overcook. You could just see that maybe a half a foot of grass that was kicked up to the inside. If he had slowed down a little bit more and stayed off of that grass, I think that could have been the move of the season.
It would have. There'd been a couple GTP moves on the iRacing highlights. That definitely would have been it. Sans the shouting voice. But Valenteus is making some good moves here as we're watching Jacob Reed. He got past Brendan Lim 3 wide entering the S's, entering the snake, but managed to just hold on. They've just gone past Cal Young. And Cal Young, this is a surprise we haven't talked about because Cal has the pedigree. And I should know. My first endurance race was with Cal Young. But this is the gap of 2 seconds almost. Yes, there was the incident, but we didn't expect this by Cal Young. It's been kind of one-sided traffic in the GTOs.
Yeah, I mean, a 1.7 second gap over Van Hicks at this point. This is impressive for Cal Young to be able to hold this out. But we've got to keep our eyes on this battle right here. Martinez and Emilio right now slicing and dicing. And here they come. This is getting a little bit interesting.
It's getting very interesting. I got to say that. And we always talk about Ichari. He's actually second in the GTP Lights, which is the junior series for those under 3K. Dicing it with Valenteus, and he knows to pick the right battles there, but able to just go now. One car already into the pit, and I wonder if that's just a little bit of damage. It is indeed. William getting caught out there with a moment. Not what you want to see. Here's Salumba going up. And I'll tell you one thing that surprised me. In the back of the field, well, let's have a look at a quick replay of what's happened here. So I was going to talk about what our hardest charges. Here comes William coming down. And that's there at Hog. Well, I don't even need to say it, DJ. You know yourself. That's never an overtaking corner.
No, it really, really isn't. And a couple other drivers caught out in the melee as well, it looks like. Yeah, that's one of those corners that the door is going to open there as you come through, but it is also one that is always going to shut on you. So there's really no good way to try to get that move done. I think that was a little overeager there.
Yeah, just a touch too overeager, and it also just shows just a little bit of inexperience just in the series, and here's a man with a lot of experience. This is the biggest charger. Jack David Spickett, no idea why he didn't set a qualifying lap, but now he's up 15 positions if he can hold this over Sami Juvonen, and he's going to, and Sami realizes just have to hold off here. It's not like the GTPs, you have to really do a long pull on braking. You can't really overshoot there, but he might be 13 seconds back, but 25 cars. He's had to go through basically 24 cars today and has managed to get to 7th position. No one's in front of him right now. You've got to feel, if you're Jack David Spickett, he had the victory last week. This is now in prime condition for a real good result.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, Spickett is impressive here, just picking his way through, methodically doing it. Now, he's going to have a gaggle of GTPs coming up behind him here, and he's going to have to watch out for that. That's always the trick here in Vintage IMSA. But there we see Pollock spin in the background.
Yeah, just losing it a little bit was Fulton Pollock, and Brian Whirling was actually Brian Whirling having a bit of a spin. And yeah, that turn one, once again, catching some of the drivers out, losing out, and back to this with Sami Juvonen trying to just keep up with Jack David Spickett. And here comes one of these GTPs right behind. It's going to be Lance Simon, and this is the difference that you see, because harder on the brake for Jack. That caught Sami out there, and really Jack was playing safety for the corner. He expected to send from the GTP. I don't think Sami was expecting him to make a reaction like that.
And South Bend is such a difficult corner for that exact reason, and you've got to be cautious about it, because if you overshoot that corner, it's not like there's a barrier to spit you back out. You are practically going to go to Narnia when you end up in that grass. There is no stop and it is very, very difficult. I actually saw as Jovinen there having to defend a little bit more. Whoa, holding things together. I vividly remember this year in the McLaren Trophy America for SRO competition, we had a couple of cars after a rain shower came through, and they were spinning around there trying to get themselves back on. That's just the difficult. And there we're doing a little bit of off-roading. These drivers need to recognize this isn't World Rally, this is circuit racing, and they're getting all into each other.
Oh, is he holding? Sammy holds it! Whoa, Sammy! You just got mowing the lawn and then you just decided to go for a hip check-in. Well, that was Sammy and Hadbal going side by side. And I think that was Jacob Flory just trying to make it free wide, but the track just started to narrow. They were taking different line. Another GTP right behind going round, and just as now the problem with some of these GTPs, and it's the inexperience here. It's not a knocking of these lower drivers that we don't usually see. As there's Timothy Reed, it's the inexperience, not just of the multi-class aspect, but this multi-class aspect, DJ. These aren't your modern-day prototypes and modern-day GT. These things are very manual.
They are very manual, they are very aggressive, and they are very tough to control. And when you're hopping down through the gears, you mentioned earlier the heel toe that you have to do. When you're coming down through the gears like that, you've got to be careful, as Valentez is able to get another position there, that time over Martinez. It's a good run there for them. But you're going to have that little bit of a slip angle when you're coming down through the gears. You're going to have those little bit of problems that you have. And I can tell you from experience, if you are a lesser experienced driver in that GTO field, you look behind you, you see those GTPs, and you feel your blood come up a little bit. You get a little terrified. Let's go back and take a look at a replay here, though, of Valentez. I think he set a pretty good move down into one. Oh, excuse me, this is Cal Young.
This is Cal Young, and as you were talking, the exact thing you were describing happened. You see, he was the lead, he's now fourth, and there's the number 50, just a little bit of a hip check, and he goes off-roading. It is a rally car. Well, it's made for road racing, but Cal goes off the track there, and he lost a lot of time. He's 5 seconds behind the leaders. Johan Van Hicks takes the lead, was in P4. There he is. He's got Noel Lundberg right behind. Remember, Lundberg had a really bad start? There he is. An advantage goes to these two. Salumba, he's not the driver. He's a good driver. He's not a driver we're used to seeing up the front here. So he's going to have a challenge. Eyes on Cal Young if he can catch up. We're at the halfway stage of the race. Still a lot of time, but that's a lot of time to make up at 5 seconds, especially when the track is starting to thin out a little bit.
It's starting to thin out a little bit, and let's not discount Salumba in the background here in that number 12 place machine. If Van Hicks and Lundberg start to fight a little bit, that's going to be music to the eyes of Salumba. He's going to be able to catch right back in and get into this battle. I think if you're the likes of Lundberg or Van Hicks, though, you're going to recognize that. You're going to want to pull away as much as possible and then let the battle transpire. It's all about that give and take and recognizing what's going on around you in the race.
And the usual pedigree of the GTOs is the GTO train. And they like to basically just stay together, and you come to a straight, and they just stay and don't do anything. Unless one of them's got the super overspeed, they make the move. But if it's like this, like you just saw there with Lundberg, they're not going to make that move. They're going to wait, and that may allow Lundberg to get back up here. So you'll have to look at the times here next time by, because if Cal can actually catch them, this is going to be interesting. But the question is, who will go for the move? Lundberg's a very good driver, and he has been forced to the outside here of the horseshoe. Not exactly the place you want to go. They'll go free wide into the corner as well. Whereas Guidis goes in, and that may affect Lundberg, and it does. That crowning there, well, he's not the king today. He has, unfortunately, had to just give it back. But look right now, Salumba right on the back of on this duo.
And that's exactly what I was talking about. Salumba recognized that opportunity, set it in, had a little bit of a look, but didn't necessarily go for it. So this is good running there for them. Now the Dutch driver of Lundberg is going to have to hold in behind, and you got to feel for this GTP behind them. This is the area you don't want to get caught in. A little bit of multi-class traffic under the bridge. Got to be careful there. That getting out. Oh, that is some aggression and some confidence. And you're there, and there is the problem.
There is the problem, and then some. And there is a little etiquette sometimes that your left foot is next to the clutch. And between the clutch and the accelerator is the brake. And with no offense to the driver there, the GTO is on the brakes. And you've got to give the respect there. And now, really, unfortunately, that puts Van Hicks all the way down into 8th. And the question I've got isn't who wants to win the GTO because nobody wants it. Who's going to survive to win the GTO? Cal Young's now back up to third.
And this is exactly what we were talking about at the beginning. This is a driver's track, and the best driver is the one that picks your moments around here. And that's what we've got to keep our eyes on. Now, great little battle here starting to play out in GTP right now. This is Grau and Wells fighting for that P2 position. And they're going to get by Lundberg. Yeah, Wells gets the door shut on him, but discretion the better part of valor. That is good heads up for the Ukrainian driver, recognizing not to go for that move. Let's take a look at the replay of what happened here coming up through Rising S's.
You can see he's on the brakes. You can see he's on the brake. I don't never like throwing a driver under the bus. And I talk about the inexperience of multiclass, but you've done enough driving right now in the race. There's 16 minutes left in the race, and you've done 25 minutes of driving. And you know that the GTOs are going to be slower there, and they have to get on the brake. They don't have downforce. They're an old school car. You should be aware of that, and that was just such a real silly move there from the driver, and it took out Van Hicks. He's got damage, and you talk about a man who got taken out and tried to recover. Well, he actually took other cars out. Not on purpose, of course. Valenteus is trying to catch up there. Only a second and a half away from Lars Olsen. The next GTP ahead is lap traffic. Fabian Youngblood can't catch up. What a recovery drive from Valenteus.
Yeah, very, very impressive from Valenteus. This is the drive of a champion. Often said that the mark of a champion in race form is what you do on your worst day. This is what Valenteus is able to do on his worst day, still manage a top 5. That is impressive.
Impressive. Matthew Cockham and Anders Sandberg trying to get some battles. Just a little bit wide there from both of the GTP drivers coming on by Brandon White. By the way, Brandon White, that GTO they just passed, leader of the GTO lights. So the GTUs, I think, is what they call them, but the junior series as well. So more drivers there. We always like to give a shout out to the juniors when we've got a single car split. And Cockham trying to just shake Sandberg in. He's made up 3 places so far this race. Sandberg's gone down 2 places, and getting a good run here is crucial. Gets a really good run with traffic helping him just a little bit. Costasalo almost just went off the track there, but they're trying to catch up to what will be the scraps of the Valenteus Brendan Limber fight up ahead. It's going to be tough to wait it out though.
It's going to be tough to wait it out, but they're going to have to see what happens in regards to the traffic. I mean, that's the great equalizer here, especially at Virginia International Raceway. Sandberg gets a little bit caught out there. Oh, contact in front and big damage.
Big damage, and that was Brian Whirling losing a little bit of tension. That's actually also a spinner as well. Gabriel Martinez losing control of the car up ahead. Then Brian Whirling loses the car spinning. It gets nowhere for Ian Haycock. Ian Haycock just has to just use the car as a barrier, and that's unfortunate there. 2 incidents there, taking out 3 cars. One of them self-spun. Martinez is back running. Haycock's still there. Sandberg! Oh my word, that's a lot of things. Is that a back marker in front? It is, and that's unfortunate. But remember, DJ, blue flags are optional, and that's not optional.
No, it's not. Yeah, blue flags merely advisory here in iRacing. They are not mandatory. And look at this from Valenteus, moving his way up into P4. Gotta be careful. GTO off in front, but he is able to get by Olsen. That is P4 for him. Now, I do think, even with 13.5 minutes left to go on the clock, that this is probably about as far as Valenteus is going to go without something affecting in front of him. He's got about 11.5 seconds back to Wells in front, so he's still got a lot of room to make up. Here comes a nice little battle in the GTO field. This is about for 14th.
Yeah, 13th, Paulick, White, and Cloud. And Doug's trying to make a recovery of his own after having an off earlier in the race. And still down 5. Brandon White is a net 0 today. And Fulton Pollock's up 4 positions. But Doug is losing a little bit of time there. And 13 minutes ago, he's also losing pages. I was looking. You see the timing tower. So Lundberg did try to catch up to Lundberg. Had a slowdown, so now he's been caught in the graph to Cal Young, Yoni Hagner. So we've got a free car battle here, and we've got a free car battle in the front of the field. More little taps there from some of these drivers, and again, this is now starting not to feel like the inexperience, I'll get the words out, of the track. This feels like the driver's just inexperienced with the cars, because again, free track, a lot of drivers, they should know this track.
They should know this track, as there's an overtake, as I believe that was Jack Wells. And Grau duking it up a little bit, and Grau able to get the move.
Yeah, able to get the move done. In fact, Wells got the overtake done at the start of the lap and then losing it to Ferran Grau. They're having a little bit of a scrap here. They're losing time, of course, to Jacob Reed, but anyone will lose time to Jacob Reed. So this is going to be interesting because I'm looking at the track map. They've got a free track ahead of them, sans one car. So who is it? Here's a replay of the overtake here going into the roller coaster, and it wasn't a yield. It was just a straight outbreak there from Ferran Grau. I'm starting to wonder who's the favorite car here right now. If there's clean air, my money would be on the guy that's faster, and that would be Ferran Grau. Is Ricciardi also goes for the same move.
Same move. That's where it looks like the move is to be able to take place for a lot of these drivers. Oh, Cal Young off, coming down through. I believe that is that? Oh, that's a pucker moment there, as they're going to hold on to it, but that's coming down into the horseshoe. That's got to be massive miscommunication between him and that GTP coming down the front straightaway.
It was Alexander Sandberg, and it was basically Cal Young trying to get past the car, and he was, it almost, well, I'll probably look at the replay. It's just a racing incident. Cal probably just drifted a bit too far over there, not realizing the car was making the move. But for Cal Young, for a man that had the lead at the race, let's just watch this right now. To me, especially with the way the car tracks, look at Cal just going a little bit there. You can just see it. He comes a little bit too far over to the left, giving a lot of room to the lap car. Probably not realizing Sandberg's right there. That feels to me very racing incident and one of those multi-class issues that you usually see.
Yeah, I think it is. I think that's a miscommunication there between the two of them, and I would have to agree with you. That's a racing incident. One driver thinking he's going to go around the outside. Cal Young moving to the outside. Little bit of just two cars trying to fit in the same opportunity and it not playing out. Let's check back in here with Jack Wells, trying to keep on the back of Grau. Again, this is kind of a battle that they can afford to fight right now. With Reed and Valenteus about 10 seconds on either side of them, they can really duke this out if they want to, but Grau looks like he's starting to pull away a little bit here, and that's not good news for Jack Wells.
No, I wonder if Jack, he did have a light tap early to start the race. I wonder if he's got a little bit of damage, but I said it last week, I'm going to say it again, and it's probably not going to result in the same thing. But Valenteus needs a little bit of divine intervention here to try and make this overtake. And I said that last week, and Reed had a mistake, and he took the victory. Can't see it today. So if it's going to be fourth place for Valenteus, he's going to hope for these two in the final 10 minutes. And what, we're looking at about 6-7 laps to go. Anything can happen if they start juking it, but where do you juke it? It's a clean track, DJ. Where's the traffic for them to go by? They're not going to hit traffic for another lap. This is just pure racing.
Yeah, this is pure pace, and I think on pure pace, Grau may have this. Although, as I say that, Jack Wells does look like he's able to close down on the straight sections of the track, so just based off that, I'm going to guess maybe Wells running a little bit less downforce. Let's check back into that GTO battle right now. Joni Hagner right now in Sleumba. This is the battle up for P2 right now. This is for second and third. This is a podium fight.
Yeah, remember, Joni Hagner was into the grass and down the roller coaster the wrong way but to start the race, and he's just got so much speed there. Salumba did not get the best run there, so he's just going to be able to get this side by side. They'll go. Not a lot that Salumba will go. The back of his car says we'll go wide. I think he's just going to have to go a little bit wider here. He tries to fight this. You can't outbrake anybody in a GTO, and he tries to lock it up, and he's actually going to do this. They're side by side going down the roller coaster. This is brilliant here. Is Salumba going to hold this? Outside to the inside to the outside, and back to the inside. Salumba with an outbreak going into the roller coaster. I've got to wash my mouth. I can't believe I just said that about a GTO.
That is incredible stuff from Sleumba. Just absolute confidence in what that number 12 will do. Now a little bit of lap traffic. You're going to see another move to the inside there for Hagner, trying to be able to hold it out. It won't play. One GTP off into the dirt. But Sleumba just, that is utter confidence. Not only in the car that you are driving, but trust in Joni Hagner that was going to be able to hold them together. GTP trying to split them up once more though.
Yeah, GTP holds him off with Andre Filippi. Did big crash in front of them. Free car crash in front. They all have to check up. Everybody is safe. I did not see who was involved in that. I don't think it's anybody at the front of the field. Just a lot of issues out here in more cars, just letting them by, and I think that was just saying, yeah, letting everybody by. Salumba gets on back, and you see it. Here's Brendan Lim. What's a move into Fabian Jungler? That looks like a very late move going into the roller coaster. Not exactly the same as what we just saw with the GTOs.
Yeah, that was about 5 miles an hour off of a pit maneuver there, I would have to say, for Lim. But held it well, able to keep it together, so maybe no harm, no foul. Cal Young, more damage to that number 6. Very slow coming up through South Bend.
Yeah, got caught up by the lap car. This time it's a lap GTO car. So he's been hit. He's spun off. He's been hit again. We'll go side by side. I'll finish my soliloquy in a moment because Salumba tried to do it again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Yoni Hagner around the outside. Gets it stuck there and manages to hold it this time. And I think he probably did that a bit too early, did Salumba, because that would have been a move that would have caught him out a few laps later. He played his cards way too early there.
Yeah, and I think Yoni just kind of recognized that that attack was going to come this time around. And that's the thing about a move like that from Salumba is you have to make it decisive. You have to do it. You have to make sure it's there. So Yoni Hagner able to hold it out this time around. Ooh, some internet problems there. That's never what you want to see in this kind of racing, but at the same time, get it back, so hopefully everything's okay there. Car off in front, that's the number 52. That's some lap traffic.
Yeah, that's some lap traffic, and let's see, there's Noah Lundberg, and I'll tell you the thing that's very interesting right now is there's Noah Lundberg, just not going to see the rest of the field. Mickey Friesen is a second behind Salumba. Now that is a drive from a man that should be battling for the championship, and he hasn't had the chance this season. And it's really good to see him. In fact, you look at where Friesen is. Yeah, he's not having the best of season, of course. However, to make that recovery drive would be brilliant for him today. As Lundberg, he's just got 5 minutes left to go. And this, when you look at the points, remember, he was 1 point ahead of Van Hicks. This is going to be a big point swing for the championship.
And this is why it is all about just keeping your nose to the grindstone in these kind of races and in this kind of season, just making sure everything's together. Jacob Reed, your leader in the GTP category right now, passed a little bit of lap traffic. This is a 9, call it a 10-second gap back to Wells. This is all about just bringing the car home here if you're Jacob Reed. Don't take any unnecessary risks. Don't be overly aggressive. If you've got to back up coming into a corner because you're not sure if you're going to be able to get past that GTO, it's better to do it safe than to be able to make a mistake.
Be safe and not sorry. And that's what he's doing right now. Just taking it, just there for a moment. You know, there's Salumba in that battle with Salumba and Hagner. Realize just a lift a little bit. That's going to cost him what? A 10th. Oh, a 10th is really going to hurt him right now. These guys don't want to find a 10th. Hadbow losing out to Jack Davis Pickett. He's up 17 position. Van Hicks, he's still trying this recovery. Thankfully, I know there's a little bit of damage on the rear of Van Hicks, but he's been able to keep that top speed. So really doing it, but the traffic's going to affect him right now. As you see, Hadbow just gets on by. Nowhere for him to go. In fact, nowhere for him to go at all. And Jack Wells is right behind Van Hicks. There they are. Look at them right behind. Now Jack Wells and Farron Grau is getting caught in this mayhem up the snake.
Oh, Van Hicks thinking about trying to make this 2 wide coming up through the rising S's. Almost 3 wide coming up through the rising S's. Somehow they make it through all of that cleanly. GTP off into the grass in the background. And Jack Wells able to navigate that through aggressively, but still cleanly. And that's going to buy him about 1.6 seconds. Call it 1.7 as he comes down into Oak Tree over Grau. Brilliantly handled there for Jack Wells.
Yeah, good handling from Jack Wells. I'm surprised Farron Grau, he actually got a little bit of a tap there off the track. Didn't get a slowdown for it, but now he's lost a second to Wells, and the GTP in front of him is a lapped GTP, and Lance Simon knows the name of the game. He's not holding them up at all, so he's just going to let it go. And this is one of the 2 battles happening in the GTPs. The other one, Gabriel Martinez holding off Eki Anderson. And there is that other battle. Gabri's still going. Not the day he wanted. He's down 6. Eki Anderson is up 2. A top 10 would be really nice. But for Gabri, he needs to hold this top 10. We talk about the championship. He really would like a top 5. Would really like to try and battle for the podium in the championship. Top 10, not going to help him.
not going to help him, but again, I don't know what his previous rounds have been like. You do get that drop round that will come in, so this could be his drop, but it looks like Gabri going to fall down to 11th. I think he's running a pretty heavy downforce setup here. He got past like he was standing still. And that would indicate to me Gabri maybe just not feeling as comfortable here at VIR, running a little bit more downforce, playing it a little bit more cautiously.
Yeah, he likes to just do the late breaks. He's one of those lost at the late breakers, but I do wonder if what is also hurting him is a little bit of damage, because that almost looked a bit like the speed was just hitting a brick wall, not the car hitting a brick wall. So could be some damage out there. This is the other close battle on the track. There's about 3 close battles in the GTOs, and this is the important one. Joni Hagner trying to get and hold off Andreas Salumba and Mickey Friesen, who just has to just see Andres Valenteus right behind him and just go on by. But for Friesen, this is a great result. It could get better. And TJ, I know there's a minute 30 left, but the way the traffic fits today, and there we go! Salumba's into the wall! Yes, that's what I was just talking about. Friesen gets that P3.
Wow, Friesen got very lucky there, and a very good bit of driving from Salumba to just hold on to that thing and not let it get too crazy. Semi Juvonen right now trying to hold on as well. This is going to get passed by the number 6 coming up through roller coaster. Juvonen just trying to hold on to it, and that's 6 with a lot of damage on it, but still maintaining good speed.
Oh, fair play to Cal Young. Still going. He was out the frying pan into the fire. And Johan Van Hicks, he's off in the wall. He's been caught out. Now, has he had a failure there? He's been taken out as well. I don't know what's been happening today. I know we're in the middle of nowhere, but this is no stranger things out here today, DJ. It's been a very chaotic race.
Very chaotic. Johan Van Hicks, I don't know what happened. This strikes me without taking the replay. Let's take a look right now. Going back to the replay of exactly what happened. Oh, a GTP just got into the back of him and sent him skittering off into the outside grass.
We always say in multiclass, and some of the drivers also say it here, the Audis, be predictable, hold your line. And they do hold their line, and they hold their line well. This man has held his line and then some today. It has been nothing for Jacob Reed today. Once Valenteus had that moment, he applied the pressure, and the pressure cooker, it popped finally. Jacob Reed takes the victory here at VIR to extend his lead in the championship. Jack Wells 15 seconds behind. He's going to take the long run up, but what a drive up 4 places. Will he hold off Ferenc Grau? Ferenc Grau takes it! Jack Reed out of fuel! Jack Reed's out of fuel, and Grau's going to take it!
Oh my goodness gracious. Just that little bit there. Ferenc Grau able to sneak it through at the end. And what a drive heel for Noah Lundberg. Able to take this away as well. Able to get that victory in the GTO category. But all kinds of chaos, even up to the drop of the checkered flag.
Noah Lundberg gets the victory, and it's a draft track. It's just not the way he expected to get the victory. Joni Hagner, what a recovery drive that is to get the P2. Mickey Friesen gets the 3rd, and Cal Young, you want to talk about recovery drive? He was out the fire. He was into the frying pan. He went back into the fire, and somehow he said, I will not break. He still gets that P7. Matthias Hadfeld gets the 8. Shout out as well to Van Hicks. He'll finish in 11th. I just want to give that shout out as well to Jack David Spickett. He did finish 5th, up 17 positions. That's a name that, that's a battle of survival.
Battle of survival. Little bit of that off-road pedigree shown off here for Joni Hagner. Love to see that there for the Finn. But we have got to talk about this, man. Jacob Reed held off the early attack from Valenteus, was able to withstand the pressure and was able to withstand the pressure cooker that was the traffic here at Virginia International Raceway. A great run for Jacob Reed.
Well, let's get to the standings. And I have been asking myself this season, is the crown starting to move? Because Jacob Reed takes the victory, and realistically, he took it in the name that Jacob Reed likes to, putting the pressure on. He wins ahead of Ferenc Grau, who comes home in 2nd, just overtaking Jack Wells. And Jack must have run out of fuel there, but he'll come home in 4th. Lars Olsen started 5th, finished in 5th, and then Brendan Lim in 6th. Fabian Jumblef will take 7th, with Matthew Cockerham in 8th. Milo Dichari up in 2 places tonight. Eki Anderson will finish in 10th. as we get to the second page. Gabri Martinez, another day to remember him, down 7 into 11th. Anders Sandberg will be 12th. David Ricciardi will be 13th. And Andreas Felipe Diaz, the last man on the lead lap. That means Lance Simon will be 15th, with Mitchell Stewart in 16th. Leonardo Silva will take 17th. Tyler Borsoff will be 2 laps down in 18th. Noah Warren will be 3 laps down in 19th. Falstar Lugridis will be in 20th. I believe he retired early. And then these are the other retirees: Ryan Minsloff, Brian Whirling, Henry Casada, William Serenin, Jacob Flores, Salvador Vasquez, Glanjuka Gabbiani, Ignacio Teresio, James McKnight, and Ethan Darby, all retirees. Not that many retirees in the GTOs though, DJ, but a very interesting result.
A very interesting result indeed. We take a look over at the GTO category. Neil Lundberg able to take victory over Joni Hagner by about 5 seconds. A healthy gap there. Mickey Friesen rounding out your podium. Andreas Salumba was close to be able to get it to close in, but just not able to seize it, courtesy of that contact that we saw coming into Roller Coaster. Jack David Spickett and Matthias Havdahl in 5th and 6th. Cal Young able to fight his way back up to 7th. Juvonen, Brain, and Casalo rounding out your top 10. About 24 seconds separating that grouping of drivers. As we move our way back in, Joram Van Hicks, what a tragic day for him. Lots of damage, lots of problems, and capped off by that hit and run basically down the front straightaway. Ian Haycox, Brandon White, Thorben Pollock, and Doug Cloud rounding out your top 15. Timothy Reed and Martin Krejcik rounding out the 17 drivers that were able to finish on the lead lap. An impressive there run for that. Richard Heinemann and Jos-Carol Jalain rounding out the top 19. They were there. And then Osvaldo Sousa, 4 laps down. Some incidents happening there to Osvaldo. Unfortunate there for him. And Victor Saul, Glukov, Becker, Althaus, and Ria rounding out your 25-car GTO grid.
Yeah, what a grid that was. What a race that was. And we do have one interview at the moment, and always nice to talk to one of them, Emilio Dicciari. He was here. He is here. There he is. And we've got Emilio here. And Emilio, first of all, that looked like a battle of survival out there today. It looked very chaotic.
Hello guys. Yes, it was really chaotic, but I enjoy a lot this race. Obviously, I'm not happy with a few mistakes that I made, but yeah, it was a race of survive, but a good race for me, and I'm very happy with this P9, I guess.
Yeah, P9 always nothing to be upset about, but out there today, it looked like the traffic was tight, but it also looked like the speed differences catching a lot of drivers out. How did you find the GTOs today?
You know, there is not too much clear space to have a clear overtake on the Audis, upset of the long straight back there in the circuit. I feel good because I think that I did not nothing wrong. I only have 1 or 2 moments with I think it was Joram, but I find it good. Not was a really problem for me today. So my problem was the spin of the tires, but upset of that. I'm happy with, because I didn't make something wrong with the Audis today. I think I guess so. Yeah, I find it good, and with no problem with that.
And we mentioned it on the broadcast. The junior standings. You're currently P2, a point ahead of Andre Felipe Diaz. You were actually better today than David and Andre. So that's going to give a lot of points to you today. How does that feel as we hit the business end of the championship, that you're starting to close up and also get your hand on that P2?
Yeah, I was thinking a lot with that. I also finished in P2 today, ahead of behind of Matthew Cockerham. And yeah, today I know that it's a good chance when I saw David spun off in few parts of the tracks. And I know that it's a good opportunity to get some points, and I did. You know, that P2 it's 12 points for the standings, for junior standings, so it's really good. I'm a bit not happy because I have one lap before of the race, of the end of the race. I have Matthew 2 seconds in front of me, and with many Audis in front. But I go off of the track, and I lost the opportunity to maybe can get it. But I'm happy with this P9 again, and that P2 in the junior standings and in the junior race today. That was really good.
Emilio, congratulations. Before we let you go, I think it's only fair to have some shout-outs. I did see some people just saying a few words in Spanish, but a couple shout-outs if you would like.
I don't see that in the broadcast, but yeah, obviously a big shout out to everyone who was there on the broadcast. I hope you enjoy it. You guys, obviously, thank you for the broadcast, and to my family, to my parents, to Florencia, and all my friends that maybe they are supporting me there or in my stream.
Emilio, congratulations on the P9, as you said, P2 in the juniors today. Look forward to seeing you next time out.
Thank you, guys, and hope you see one more time in this season in the few next races.
I'm sure we will. Emilio Dechari there, the Argentinian, finishing in 9th, and that's going to be it for the interview. So just give a quick shout out here for next time up. DJ, it's the hour-long race next time. It's Hockenheimring. Now, if we thought multi-class was a bit chaotic today, this is going to be a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah, watch out for that stadium section at the German race course. It's going to be very, very crazy. Keep an eye out for that November 22nd. That'll be coming at you here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Hockenheim, one of the premier tracks in Europe, and certainly that stadium section from the run on the hairpin all the way back down to the start-finish line. I think that is going to be the pressure cooker moment.
Yep, and that's all going to happen next week. But don't forget to check out the other broadcast, because Sim Racers Republic is still going on right now. But tomorrow, we've got 2 more races for you. The Major Series heads to Suzuka, and then an hour later, it's Mexico for the first time for the Lotus 79. So that's going to be fantastic. And then for Tuesday or Monday as well, that will be the Porsche Owners Club at Silverstone, followed by the MX-5 United on Tuesday as we get ready for the final week. But a shout out to DJ Clark, to Daniel Costello, and Dougie Bid. I have been Craig King. And if you've liked what you're seeing, ladies and gentlemen, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to don't miss out on any more moments here on Global Sim Racing Channel, because the championships, they just got shook up big time. Moving day delivered. Next time we go to Germany, it's Hockenheim. Anything can happen. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we will see you on the track.
This is iRacing.